You don't have to stand there. I can go over and do it. I feel bad. Don't stand.
It adds more time onto it.
I don't care. All right, you ready?
Gotcha.
I can't do this. Okay. Break the cycle of domestic violence is more than just a hit. I am certain that we all know someone in a relationship, and I am sure that most of us know what some form of domestic violence is. Out of these relationships, have you ever suspected abuse? Did you ever want to help but didn't know what to do or even how to ask if they needed help? Unfortunately, I know domestic violence all too well. I have been a victim of DV since I was a child. Anywhere from watching my dad hit my mom to simply hearing them fight and him cut her down. All the way up to being a victim of my father's horrific punches. I always swore that I would never allow my kids to grow up in that type of an environment. Well, life had its own plan for me. I was mentally, verbally, and sexually abused by my first husband, the father of my children, for almost 6 years. I finally was able to leave and start my life all over, but no matter where or what I was doing, I always seemed up in these horrible abusive relationships. Even up until about 3 weeks ago, I have been in the cycle of domestic violence. This time, I honestly felt like I was living in a horror movie and fighting for my life. Today, I will walk you through the problem of DV, the cycle that it causes, and how you can help yourself or a loved one. First, let's discuss the problem of domestic violence. According to Medline Plus, domestic violence is any type of abuse. It usually involves a spouse or a partner, but it can also be a child, elderly relative, or another family member. Many don't realize it's more than just physical or sexual abuse. There is financial abuse, social abuse, and stalking. Financial abuse is like withholding money, not letting them have a job. Social is anywhere from not letting them have friends to even not letting them be with their family members unless the perpetrator's with them. I lived that forever. Stalking and harassment, I'm actually going through that right now. He's finding me everywhere I am. He's never had an Instagram, and I got an Instagram request from him last night. Then there is degrading, intimidation with intent to harm, just to mention a few. And then there's also the verbal. They're all pretty much explanatory. Like the intent to harm it's horrible. I've had it to where if you don't do this, I'll do something to your kids kind of a thing. It's a nightmare. But all this is possible with the power and control will, which you all have in your packets. In this cycle, you can see the abuser is able to control you in ways such as using children as leverage, isolating the victim, and even treating the victim as a servant. Crime statistics show that DVA is most commonly experienced by women and perpetrated by men. Even though the victim is usually a woman and she endures so much abuse physically and depression usually sets in, she's so scared to leave, so that's why she stays. Have you ever stopped and said, what about the children that are involved? Most people don't stop to think the effects that the abuse has on children. After going through abuse in about 30 years of my life, I have learned that domestic violence plays a significant role on how children grow. They see and hear all of the horrible things between their parents. So as they grow, they begin to believe that this is how a healthy relationship is supposed to be. So in other words, a son sees a man hitting his mom all the time, so he believes that's how a man's supposed to treat a woman. Vice versa for a daughter. She sees her mom being hit, so she thinks that's how a man shows he loves her. And that is where domestic violence truly begins. Now that we've discussed the problem of DV and the cycle of power and control, let's look at its causes. During the power and control cycle of the abuse, there's another cycle developed. And it's the cycle of the phases of domestic violence. And you simply have the honeymoon phase, which everything's all perky, and nothing ever happens. And then you have the tension building phase, and this phase is horrible. I think this is actually worse than the explosive phase. This is when you are walking on eggshells. Everything you do seems to not be right. You're told, it's a lot of verbal stuff happens. And this is the explosive phase, and it's like boom, out of nowhere. The tension's gone, that's when the tension snaps, and that's when all the physical abuse happens, and even still the stalking and stuff like that. And then eventually you get to the reconciliation phase, and that's where the I'm sorries and the gifts and it'll never happen. And they honestly get you to believe that it was a one-time thing. Or in my case, it was a drug problem for my second husband. So as you can see, it's a cycle and it goes on, and they know how to manipulate your brain. Now that you understand the problem of domestic violence, let's discuss how you can get help. This is a big part. I've learned this my whole life by watching it. Don't let it be a kid's education. And first and foremost, they need to tell someone they trust. Don't judge, but be direct. Let them know that you worry about them. They need to be educated on the type of help there is out there. In the packets I gave you brochures. I gave you the cycle wheel, the power and control, the cycles of domestic violence. I gave you some names within like a little bit local. And then there's the national hotline on there. But just always remember, these are in your packets. Those are just 3 that I came up with. But to close my speech, I am hoping that you understand more about DV and how important it is to get help. Also, the next time you think a woman is staying because she likes the abuse, remember, it's not as easy as you think. According to the National DV Hotline, 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence at some point in their life. And they may live with it for years before they finally speak up. I am now going to show you a video of a woman that was abused and took a picture every day for 1 year to show you that women can cover it up and nobody would know until it gets really bad.